Tell me, muse of the man of many ways, who has driven far journeys after he had sacked Troy's sacred citadel. Many were they whose cities he saw, whose minds he learned of. Many the pains he suffered in his spirit on the wide sea, struggling for his own life and the homecoming of his companions. Homer, the Odyssey. Well, this is different. I admit I've never written before, let alone to everyone in Equestria, but Midnight suggested that my story should be told to everyone. After all, the history of Equestria needs to be preserved. I might as well start by introducing myself. My name is Ruby Starlight. I'm a unicorn pony from Stable 26. If you're not familiar with the stables, I'll elaborate. 200 years ago, during the Great War, Stable Tech built the stables in order to keep ponies safe from the coming apocalypse from megaspells. Stable 26 was one of the last to be inhabited, my ancestors barely avoiding the megaspell that hit their home city. I was the first pony to leave Stable 26, and this is the story of my adventure. I woke up one morning in Stable 26. It was the 205th year since the stable door was first closed, and today was one of the most important days in the stable's history. I looked in the mirror as I used my telekinesis to lift a brush and run it through my white mane as I examined myself. My eye fell on my cutie mark, a short-ended red cross with gold inlays and a white star in its center. Like every pony else, I was born in Stable 26, which meant I was trained in many different skills, but it wasn't until my medical studies that I excelled and received my cutie mark. I slid my Stable 26 jumpsuit and pip-buck on and trotted out the door. "Hey, Ruby, are you on your way to work?" A pink-furred mare named Candy Cane, who was my neighbor across the hall, asked as she stepped outside. "Yeah, well, you know how it is. The council wants everything running smoothly, so we're all ready for the choosing," I reply as we continue down the hallway. "What about you, Candy? Is the store going to be open today?" "That's the plan," Candy says with a nod. She ran the stable's candy store. Obviously, her parents weren't exactly the most creative ponies, at least until this afternoon. You know how Councilmare Jade wants everyone there on time. We've been waiting 205 years. Think they could wait a few extra minutes, I said with a chuckle as we stepped into the atrium. "See you at the choosing?" "Wouldn't miss it," Candy said as she trotted off and I headed to the clinic. "Is she going to be okay?" a little filly asked me as I worked the needle and thread with my telekinesis. "Please tell me she'll be okay." "Don't worry, she'll be okay," I say with a smile to the filly as I continue the stitching. "Just promise me you'll be more careful, okay?" "I promise, Dr. Starlight," the filly said. "Please, you can just call me Ruby," I say as I finish the stitching and handed the stuffed dragon to the filly. "Thanks, Ruby," she said and galloped off happily with the dragon on her back. I had to smile at that. I had always loved foals and was always happy to help them out. Besides, today was a slow day in the clinic, so it was fine. "That was nice of you, Ruby," the head medical pony Nightingale said with a smile as I trotted over to her. "You're the best assistant I've ever had." "I'm the only assistant you've ever had," I said with a giggle as Nightingale rolls her eyes. And it was nothing. Heck, she was probably the most cooperative patient I've had this week. So true. Nightingale chuckled. Are you nervous about the choosing?" "Nah, the odds of me being chosen are 1 in 500, I said as I shook my head. The choosing was an event that the stable had been preparing for, but no one really thought the day would come until the council mayors had announced it. Stable 26 was an unusual stable when compared to the others. Instead of having an overmare, the first stable dwellers had been left to their own devices to decide how to govern. The stable council was elected by the stable dwellers once every few years, unless some pony was to die. The choosing was a unique event that could only be called by the council and only when the time was right. Exactly what it was, no one was really sure, just that only one stable dweller was chosen. "Well, I'm sure it'll be okay," Nightingale said with a smile. "Besides, what's the worst that could happen? In retrospect, maybe skipping the choosing may have been a good idea, but I didn't know that at the time. My life was about to change, and I had no idea." "Inhabitants of Stable 26, please report to the atrium for the choosing," the soft voice of Councilmare Jade Willow echoed over the PA system. It was 1400 hours, and I trotted out of the clinic with Nightingale close behind me. The atrium was crowded with the other ponies of Stable 26 who were talking amongst themselves. "Hey, Ruby! Ruby, over here!" Candy called out to me as I trotted over to her. "What do you think is going on?" "I don't know," I said with a shrug. And I had Councilmember Creamy in the clinic just the other day. She wouldn't tell me, and lots of ponies are open up to their doctors. That's weird, Candy said as she tilted her head and thought, I just wish they'd tell us already. I hate the suspense. Calm down, Candy, I said, face hooving as the pink pony jumps in excitement. You need to stop eating your own candy. You get way too hyper. Yeah, I just want to know what's happening, Candy said. Attention, attention every pony. A voice from the front of the room called out over the speakers as the room goes quiet. Council Mare Jade Willow was an aging green-furred mare who still commanded respect. Is everyone here? Good. Okay, you're probably all wondering what the choosing is. There was a whisper among the ponies. The feeling of anticipation was incredible. We had been wondering what was going on since it was first announced the previous week. The choosing is something that the stable has been working towards for over 200 years, Jade continued. Stable 26 was built to see if ponies could not only govern without the influence of stable tech, but also to see if such a society could thrive after the event of a mega-spell apocalypse. Me and Candy exchanged glances. The fact that the stable was built to self-govern wasn't news, and we knew about the apocalypse, but we had always assumed that we'd never leave the stable. One pony will be chosen in order to leave the stable for 1 year, Jade continued. After the year is over, he or she will return to the stable and report of the outside world. If the report is good, the rest of the stable will leave to make a new home in Equestria. If the report is bad, or the one who is chosen does not return, then the stable will remain closed for a further period of time, until it is decided that the time is right to make another attempt. I paused at that. That sounded dangerous. Why was this happening? Who was going to be picked? The computer would now select which pony will leave the stable, Jade continued as she turned to look at the terminal screen next to her. The entire atrium went quiet. It was a strange moment. 500 ponies in one room. Not one spoke a word. The silence was finally broken when Jade spoke up again. And the pony who will be leaving stable 26 will be Ruby Starlight. A collective gasp went up around the ponies as the crowd parted and every one pony stared at me. The next few hours were a blur. Jade Willow and the other council mares spent the time briefing me on everything we knew about the outside world, but I only caught bits and pieces. It's probably going to be scarred from the war. Monsters mutated by the mega-spell magic. No telling what happened to the ponies on the outside. Finally, they let me go back to my quarters to rest before I had to leave in the morning. I didn't feel much like resting. I paced back and forth in my quarters, the sound of my hooves echoing. Goddesses above, why me? Why was I, of all the ponies in stable 26, picked? I was just a medical pony. I was no pony particularly special. It didn't make any sense to send me at all. What I could gather was that the choosing picked a pony who had the highest probability of surviving outside the stable, but then wouldn't one of the security ponies have made more sense? I snapped out of my musing when I heard the sound of a hoof knocking against the door. My horn glowed red as I used my telekinesis to open the door, and Nightingale and Candy trotted in. Hey, Ruby, are you okay? Nightingale asked as she looked down at the scuff marks on the floor. Are you trying to wear a hole in the floor? Maybe, I said with a shrug as I sat back on my haunches with a sigh. It's just still kind of sinking in that I'll be leaving the stable. Yeah, I can't believe it either. It's crazy, Candy exclaimed. I mean, I wouldn't have wanted to go either, but you're so important to the stable. Everyone loves you, and you're great with the foals, and everyone... What will happen when you're gone? We can all die. I don't want to die. Please don't go. Geez, Candy, melodramatic much? Nightingale said as she shook her head at the overdramatic pony. Look, Ruby, we can try and talk to the council. Maybe they'll pick someone else. I tried that already. They were very clear about it, I said with a sigh. The choosing isn't up to them. It's up to the stable's computer, and it won't let anyone else out of the stable. It's a dumb system, Candy said. What if it picked a foal? Candy, calm down. I'm sure that wouldn't happen, I said. The sigh turned to Nightingale. Are you going to be okay without me? Ruby, don't worry about me, Nightingale said reassuringly. You're one of the best ponies I know. You'll do fine out there. I believe in you. Thanks, Nightingale, I said, but I still was nervous about this whole thing. The three of us talked up until curfew. As the two trotted out, I couldn't help but feel sad. I had spent my whole life in Stable 26. Every pony I knew was here, and now I was expected to just leave it all behind for a year. By Celestia, why me? I mean, I wasn't indisposable, but they were expecting me to be able to survive in the wasteland for an entire year. I sighed as I laid down on the bed and pulled the covers up. Tomorrow was going to be a long day. Good morning, ponies of Stable 26s. Council Mayor Neon coming at you this fine morning. The voice of Neon Radiance sounded over my Pip-Buck's radio to wake me up. I groaned a little as I got out of bed. Every morning, Neon would make announcements, and I was dreading today's. The day every pony in the stable has been working for. It's finally here. A special shout out to Miss Ruby Starlight for her bravery and selflessness in accepting this task. Laying it on a bit thick, aren't we? I thought as I rubbed my forehead. I had barely been able to sleep last night with dreams of being devoured by horrible creatures, or worse. Now for your morning announcements, Neon continued as I slipped on my stable jumpsuit. Following the choosing, the council has decided that all non-essential stores and activities will be closed for the day, so you little fillies and colts can rest easy knowing that you get a day off from school. Stable door will be opening at 0900 hours, so if anyone wants to see Ruby off, don't be late, because you won't get another chance. It is all for announcements. Now for a special treat, I decided to brush off an old record for everybody, so enjoy the stylings of the lovely Octavia. The sound of string music filled the room as I shut off the radio and slipped the Pip-Buck onto my foreleg, followed by a pair of plain brown saddlebags that I had packed the night before. I looked at myself in the mirror one last time as I brushed my hair back. When I was just a filly, the idea of leaving the stable on some grand adventure had appealed to me. But as I grew up and matured, I left them behind, thinking of them as just foolish fantasies. But here I was, getting ready to leave the stable. I might not even be able to see it again if things didn't work out just right. I couldn't help but think of my parents and what they would think. Celestia, I missed them. They had died in an accident before I had gotten my cutie mark. Maybe that was why I had poured myself into my medical studies, so that no pony would ever have to go through what I had again. I checked the time. It was 0840 hours. Almost time to leave. I sighed and took one last look around my room before trotting out the door. It was time to face my destiny, whether I liked it or not. It was a short walk to the stable door. I went past a few ponies. Some of them wished me luck, others just stared at me while I passed them. I couldn't help but wonder what was going through their minds. Were they maybe jealous? Did they feel sorry for me? Or maybe they expected me to chicken out. Goddesses, I wish they'd stop staring at me. Ruby, are you okay? Jade asked me. I turned to look at her. She was at a podium that was set up by the stable door. Am I okay? What kind of dumb question was that? I was about to leave my home for a year, knowing full well that I may never come back. I knew what was expected of me, and there was nothing else I could say, so I just nodded. I'm okay, Council Mayor Willow. Very good. Now come up here next to me, please, Jade said, and I nodded and walked up next to her. I looked around the entrance room. A small crowd had gathered. They recognized me, the ponies that were there. Nightingale and Candy were at the front. I recognized the filly from the day before and other patients that I had helped treat over the years. Today is an important day for Stable 26, Jade started. 205 years ago, when our ancestors came here, they were sealed up behind this great door and left to create a whole new society by Stable Tech, after the destruction of Equestria. Today, we will prove that our society can survive outside of the stable. The greatest of us has been chosen to journey out into what lies beyond that door. A cheer rose up from the crowd as they stomped their forehooves in applause. I felt my face turn hot as I turned even redder than usual. I really wish they wouldn't make such a big deal about all this. Ruby, would you like to say anything? Jade asked, and everyone looked at me. Sure, I said nervously as I took the podium. I'm not really one for public speaking. I just wanted to say that I'm going to give this my best. Every pony here is putting a lot of faith in me, and I won't let you down. Stable 26 will have a place to live in a year, and I know that we can do this. There was a brief silence as I stepped down from the podium before there was another cheer from the ponies gathered. I smiled a little to myself. They believed I could do this. Now I just had to believe in myself. Jade placed a hoof on my shoulder reassuringly, and I nodded. The great stable door that had remained closed for over 200 years creaked as it opened up. I trotted out the door, stopping as I passed its threshold to look back to get one more look at my home before the door closed once again. I was all alone. For the first time in my life, I was completely alone in the world. I shivered as I looked around the room just beyond the stable door. It was dark, and it took me a moment to remember that I could use my pip-bug to light it up. When I turned on the flashlight option, I found myself looking at an underground room that looked like it had been abandoned for years, which it probably had been. I trotted along the wall as I looked for a door. I passed by an old poster that said, "Pinkie Pie is watching you forever," with a pink mare with wild curly hair staring out at me. That was unnerving. It was like she was staring into my very soul. I shook my head and kept going until I finally found a staircase going up. I finally pushed open a door and got my first real look at the world outside the stable. It was a barren wasteland with frightening clouds overhead. I was in the middle of what seemed to be the ruins of an ancient building. "Okay, Ruby, stay calm. You can do this," I muttered to myself as I trod through the ruins of the old building. There was a sudden sound in the distance with a loud whistling, and an explosion rocked the ground. What in Celestia's name was that? I managed to climb a hill and took out a pair of binoculars that had been given by the council. I scanned the distance. I didn't see any monsters, but I did see was ponies. They seemed to be in the middle of a fight. I lowered the binoculars down and sat back on the hard ground. That's when I heard it, a rousing tune coming from somewhere. I reached for my pip-bug to turn off the radio when I realized that it wasn't on, and couldn't be picking up from Stable 26, so where was that music coming from? Then suddenly in front of me, what seemed like some sort of mechanical flying thing rose up. The music was playing from it. I, of course, did what any rational pony faced with an unusual thing would do in my position. I screamed. "Calm down, I'm not going to hurt you," a voice from the machine said with an accent like nothing I had ever heard before as the music cut off abruptly. "Sorry for scaring you like that. These sprite bots are hard to take control of." "Who in Celestia's name are you?" I asked, still unnerved by the floating machine. "Sprite bot? What is that thing?" "Well, like I said, this is a sprite bot. The Crimson Empire managed to hijack a bunch of these, and are using them to spread their propaganda. I can control them for a short time," the voice said. "As for who I am, well, that's not really important. You can call me the Doctor." I had finally calmed down after taking a small sip from the canteen that I brought with me. I turned back to the sprite bot. I had to get some answers, and only the Doctor seemed to be around. "What exactly happened here?" I asked him. "What's going on in Equestria?" "Well, right now you're on the outskirts of the port city of New Orleans," the Doctor answered. "At the end of the Great War, this area was hit differently from the rest of Equestria. The megaspell that hit it did something to the weather. It left this part of Equestria a scorched wasteland, even after the Day of Sunshine and Rainbows and Gardens of Equestria." I blinked at that. Those terms meant nothing to me, but clearly they were important somehow. Exactly what are the Day of Sunshine and Rainbows and Gardens of Equestria? "Oh, of course, a stable dweller, so you wouldn't know about those. Let me explain," the Doctor said. "The Day of Sunshine and Rainbows was about 5 years ago, when a pony named Little Pip removed the cloud cover from above the Equestrian wasteland, bringing back the sun and moon for ponykind to enjoy. Gardens of Equestria was a megaspell that restored most of Equestria to its former glory. It allowed farming again, removing the radiation and taint for the most part." I looked up to the sky. It was still covered with clouds for miles around. The ground still remained burnt and cracked. Was he lying to me? These events had changed Equestria so radically, then why was this part still a wasteland covered in clouds? Doctor, I hate to point out the obvious, but it doesn't seem like it reached this area of Equestria," I pointed out. "Now, like I said, the megaspell that hit this area of Equestria was different," the Doctor said. "No one's quite sure why, but it changed the area around New Orleans drastically. It surprised the Newcastle Republic, too, when they came this far south." The what?" I asked. Oh, you'll meet them soon enough. I'm about to lose the signal, so I suggest you seek them out, the doctor said. There's an NCR camp to the west. You might want to head there. You'll have better luck there than with the Crimson Empire, and set your pip-up to NCR radio. Wait, how do I get there? I asked, but it's too late. The music started up again. Sprite bots continues moving. That was weird. I was curious, though. He suggested I should check out something called NCR Radio, so I levitated an earbud into my ear and went through my pick-box options until I found what I was looking for. The sound of a mare singing filled my ears as I started walking down the hill towards the west. Kept an eye on my EFS to make sure I was going the right way. That was Velvet Remedy singing her latest song just arrived from the supply trains from Junction Town. The accented voice of the mare said over the NCR radio frequency. It was weird hearing a voice other than neon radiances over the radio. This is your host, Melody, coming at you from the New Canterlot Republic's Broadcast Center. How are all of you doing out there in Pony Post-Apocalyptia? I had to chuckle a little at that. Melody was certainly an interesting pony to listen to. I tried some of the other radio frequencies, but all I got was static or the same music that I had heard from the Sprite Bot. And now for the news, Melody continued. I've got reports of burning pony ghouls moving along the eastern ridge. They don't seem to have fully gone zombie, but they don't seem too friendly to any pony that gets close to their camp. I stopped when lights suddenly started flashing on my EFS. 2 ponies were somewhere ahead of me. I spotted a ruined house. There was what seemed to be 2 ponies lying prone on the ground. The medical pony and me screamed that they were going to need help and I should go help them as I galloped forward towards them. We've also got a report here from an NCR ranger that a standoff in the northern fields has continued for the 3rd month. Melody's voice continued. It took me a moment to remember that's where I was currently. The Ranger Colonel hopes that the standoff can be broken soon enough. That's all for the news. Now I've got some Sweetie Bells singing. Shut off the radio as I reached the ruined house. By this point, there was only one light flashing on my EFS. I checked the first pony that reached a tan-furred Pegasus stallion, dressed in red leather with crossed swords as a cutie mark, and a crimson-colored bird carved into his outfit. I shook my head sadly. There was nothing more I could do for this pony, so I turned to the other one who was trying to crawl towards the ruined house. I ran over to her, but stopped short when I saw the barrel of a gun pointed at me. "Who the hell are you?" she demanded. She was a blue Pegasus mare with short, dark blue mane that hung over the side of her head, a pair of goggles hanging lopsided over her neck. "No raider will steal from me without a fight. I'd run if I were you." "Calm down. My name is Ruby Starlight. I'm not a raider," I said. I managed to stammer out. "I'm a medical pony." "Really? Which side do you work for? NCR or Crimson Empire?" The Pegasus growls. I noticed that she's bleeding in several places and her right wing is badly injured. "I'm with the—" I started to say, then realized I didn't really have an answer. "Listen, miss. My name is none of your business," the Pegasus growled. "Fine then, I don't work for either side. I'm from Stable 26. I just arrived from the Wasteland less than an hour ago," I said. "I've got some medical supplies. I can heal you up really quick." The Pegasus frowned at me, but relented after a moment. "Stable dweller, huh? Well, you're going to need more supplies more than me," she said, trying to lift her wing before cringing. "But if you're going to insist on helping me, I have some supplies in my saddlebags over in the old schoolhouse." "Okay, here, let me give you a hoof," I say, and helped the blue Pegasus as we trod towards the ruined building. "So, you're from Stable 26, huh?" The Pegasus asked as my healing magic worked on her wounded wing. "Yeah, born and raised," I said, my horn glowing as I kept working. "I just left today, actually." "Oh, what happened? Did a mare you had a crush on escape the stable and you chased after her?" The Pegasus asked with a chuckle. No, I replied, trying not to blush. Actually, I never really found myself romantically interested in any pony in Stable 26, so I focused on my duties as a medical pony. I was chosen to leave the stable and live out here for a whole year. "Wow. Bummer," the Pegasus said. "I've met a few stable dwellers in my day, but that's a new one." "Oh, so you're not from a stable?" I asked. "Nope. My mom's an honest to Celestia Dashite." Or at least she was, the Pegasus said with an odd mixture of pride and sorrow. Fled the Enclave when she was pregnant with me. The Enclave? I asked, finishing her wing. Oh, they ran the Pegasi for a long time. They fell a few years back thanks to Little Pip, Pegasus said. There was that name again, Little Pip. The blue Pegasus got to her hooves again and stretched her wing out, flapping it carefully. Thanks, Doc. I should repay you somehow. Oh, no. You don't have to do anything of the sort, I said, but the Pegasus was hearing nothing of it. Oh, I've got the perfect thing, she said, opening her saddlebag and pulling out a pistol followed by a bunch of bullets with her teeth. This here is a genuine Junctiontown revolver, customized and outfitted by Ditsy-Doo herself. If you're going to be traveling in the wastelands, you shouldn't be unarmed. Well, thanks, I said as I took it with my telekinesis. You should be okay. Just don't strain your wing too much, okay? Will do, Doc, the Pegasus said. Look me up in the NCR forward base out west sometime. She flapped her wings and flew off before I could say anything else. I smiled a little and shook my head as I slid the revolver and bullets into my saddlebag. I wondered what her name was and who that other Pegasus was as I trotted back outside and continued on my journey. I was a medical pony. I wasn't supposed to kill. I was supposed to heal. If I was going to get into the base, the NCR might need help. The idea of killing another pony terrified me, and well, what do we have here? A voice speaks up. I looked to see an earth pony dressed like the Pegasus from before, looking at me with a leer on his face. A pretty little mare out all alone. As he advanced on me, I screamed and instinctively pointed the pistol at the pony and pulled the trigger repeatedly till I had unloaded all the bullets in the gun into him. I looked in shock as I realized what I had done. I had killed another pony. Goddesses, what had I done? I hadn't even been in the wasteland one day that already made me a murderer, and there he was, still staring at me as the blood dripped from his bullet wounds. I tried to close my eyes to get the image of the dead pony out of my mind, but the image of what happened kept replaying in my mind. I had spent the years since I'd gone my cutie mark learning how to help ponies, and I had just killed one. I didn't even mean to kill him. Why had I done it? What had clicked in me that caused me to kill him? I didn't have much time to dwell on it, though, as I heard the sound of ponies galloping towards me. Oh, how I wished I could just disappear right that minute, like the old stories of zebras during the war. I did the only thing I could do. I dropped the pistol and curled up, hoping the end would come soon. I deserved it. I was a monster. I had killed a fellow pony in cold blood. Could I even face my friends again? Goddesses, how many bullets did she put into that guy? I heard one voice ask. Looks like she unloaded a full clip. Poor bastard didn't know what hit him. The gruffer voice said, What do we do with her? You know the Colonel's standing orders as well as I do. Fire rain is coming, the first voice said. We bring her into camp and sort things out later. All I could remember for the next few minutes was being picked up and carried. When I finally dared to open my eyes, I found myself laying on a cot under a metal roof. Two ponies dressed in brown and black uniforms were standing on either side of a door. Before I could even say a word, the door opened and a new pony entered. I had to stop myself from staring. It was an elegant mare with dark blue fur and a black mane and tail, with the cutie mark of 2 crossed arrows. Something about her in a strange way relaxed me. It was as if she exuded an aura of calm and confidence. I tried to open my muzzle for something to say, but she spoke first. So, you're the stable dweller that killed Necroshot, she said. Her voice was calm, almost cold, as she looked me over. I'm Colonel Midnight, commander of the new Canterlock Republic Ranger Unit 4. Welcome to the war zone, stable dweller.